mythology is a story directly borrowed from the Greeks. It starts off with Saturn slicing off his tyrant father's, Caelus' genitals. He promptly throws them into the sea, and the genitals drift off into the sea across the ocean into the island of Cythera. The blood, or in some versions of the story, the semen, that issued forth from the severed flesh mixed with the seawater. This provoked the growth of the child Venus. She had experienced no infancy or no childhood. She was a grown young woman, and she arose from the foam of the seashore on a seashell.
It will be Venus of Syracuse. This is dated back to the 2nd century AD and is made of entirely marble. This is a statue found in the South Italian Baiae, and it received her name on accommodation to the Magna Graeciella. It initially belonged to the collection of Lord Hope and given to the National Archaeological Museum of Athens in 1924. This was restored by sculptor Antonio Canova. It derives from this statue, and it has an Aphrodite naked with a himation around her waist with her hand covering her chest. Now I will focus on Venus de Milo. This is an ancient Greek statue and one of the most famous works of ancient Greek sculpture. This was made around 130 BCE but discovered in 1820 on the island of Milo. This is the Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love and beauty. This statue is currently on display at the Louvre Museum in Paris and renowned for its mystery of her missing arms. This is a large 6-foot marble sculpture, and parts of the sculpture was lost following its discovery.
Now we're going to talk about Botticelli's Birth of Venus. The theme of the birth of Venus was taken from the writings of the ancient poet Homer. After Venus was born, she rode on a seashell and sea foam to the island of Cythera. In the painting, Venus is depicted in the center. She is isolated, so no other figures overlap her. She is also nude. So this is very significant because it wasn't very common in the Middle Ages for women to be nude. For modeling Venus, Botticelli used an Aphrodite statue for inspiration. In the statue, she attempts to cover herself in a modest gesture. Her milky, pale skin was emphasized, and her body looks as if it was made out of marble. Her hairstyle also reflects a popularity of long hair in the 15th century. It shows her ideal face, free of blemishes. On the left, we have Zephyrus, who is carrying the nymph Chloris as he blows the wind to guide Venus to the right island. And then on the right, we have Pomona, the goddess of spring, and she awaits Venus with the mantle in her hand. You can see the mantle billows in the wind from Zephyrus' mouth.
And now I will focus on the classical nude of antiquity. The Renaissance preoccupation with the body presented a contrast to medieval tradition. This valued the spirit over flesh. In the 15th century, artists drew inspiration from the depiction of nudity and the use of drapery as a means of articulating the body. According to classical artists such as Pliny, ideal beauty of ancient art was achieved by adapting normal forms to perfect the system of the mathematical ratios, aka classical canon of proportion, a system of Renaissance artists who wanted to unlock secrets through the analysis of art.
Greek nudes were rediscovered during the Renaissance. The first kind of prominent nude was David by Donatello in 1440, and there was kind of a shift back to portraying humans in their natural form.
So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is Botticelli's Primavera. Primavera translates into spring. So in the painting, it illustrates a group of figures in an orange grove. These figures have long and slender limbs, indicating they appear elegant. Venus is right in the center. She's depicted as an idealized woman. Her head's tilted and she's gesturing to the right. Above her is her son Cupid, who is blindfolded. Behind him are the tree's limbs, and they conveniently frame Venus and provide her with a privileged position in the painting. To the far left, we have Mercury, the god of the month of May. He can be shown as having a staff, which he may be using to usher away the winter clouds. To the right of him are the three Graces, who represent feminine virtues of chastity, beauty, and love. They're referred to as pure and holy in the eyes of all. Their pearls on their heads symbolize purity. Their clothing is lace, light, transparent, symbolizing virtuosity. To the far right, we have Zephyrus, who's the west wind. He's attempting to take the nymph Chloris. After he takes her and marries her, Chloris then transforms into Flora, the spring goddess. Flora is depicted as throwing flowers from her dress, and she symbolizes springtime and fertility. As a whole, this alludes to spring and the month of May. The three graces point to the idea of a springtime marriage. The setting of an orange grove symbolizes the orange tree as a family symbol, and Cupid targeting the three graces means marital love. In any case, the painting is a testament to human interests in classical subject matter, in the Renaissance, as well as the courtly desire for lavish themes and graceful figures.
So during the Greek period, beauty was based primarily off symmetry. So if you look at the Venus de Milo, it's very symmetrical. But during the Renaissance, the big shift to nudity or nudes is that women were more portrayed for their maternal aspect. They're kind of shown as warm. And if we carry that idea over to modern times, we've kind of seen like a regression of this maternal view of women and beauty, and have kind of returned to the idea that women need to be symmetrical, and being symmetrical is beautiful.
So what's the significance of Venus in terms of history? Well, Venus became important and started to gain significance during the Renaissance period. This is the time in which the classical nude was prominent and the naked body was celebrated. This casts an optimistic view about the human body in contrast to the shame associated with it from the medieval period. This also relates to humanism, which is the shift in the study of human interaction. During this time, artists began to show a large interest in faces. This included rationalism, individualism, facial structure, and various emotions.